Let's be honest, you have no idea what to say when someone trash talks you. That's because you're pathetic, dumb, stupid, lame, insensate, and stolid AF. Now, you might not have realized it, but I'm actually trash talking you right now. I didn't actually mean those things. In fact, you're doing great. I just wanted you to feel bad so I could feel better about myself for a second. Because I'm not smart, funny, or interesting enough to garner any positive affirmation for myself, so getting any reaction out of you at all will give me the attention I so desperately crave. Let's dive in. First, you need to learn what words to use and what words not to use. For example, at the start of any game, it's important to establish a positive atmosphere in order to give your opponents a false sense of security. For added measure, include a smiley face. Don't worry, you don't have to be smiling in real life, it's just a cute trick. Then, wait for someone on the other team to make a mistake. If no one does, just make something up that sounds real. If someone calls you out by saying, "Wow, that doesn't make any sense," here's where things get serious. Respond by saying, "Anyone with a brain would have realized that what they did was wrong," which should include everyone on the other team and no one on your team. Continue by using words like loser and bad, and avoid using actual swear words. That's because you know they'll be censored out of the text chat anyways, and because you'll want to save the really bad words for your own team over voice chat. Sometimes the best insults come out when you're raging. That's when you can really get on people's nerves, make them anxious, and fight back against every social standard that your community has been asking you to embrace. No need for progressive thinking in this video game. I'm here to live in a fantasy world. The reality is, sometimes talk is just talk and nothing else. The difference is subtle. For example, GG stands for good game, and if your opponent said this to you, that's great. But if instead they say, "Hold on, I've got to go check the mail," then they come back and say, "Weird, there were 2 letters for you. They're E and Z." That's less great. In that case, just applaud your opponent for such an unnecessarily elaborate roast, then simply report them. If you're mid-game and your opponent says, "It's time to take out the trash," whoa, hold on. Don't clap back just yet, because you never know, it may actually be time for them to take out the trash. There's just no way to be sure. In which case, just be safe and report them. If you still aren't sure if they're trash talking you or not, you can engage in a proven tactic called inting, or intentionally dying. When this maneuver is performed correctly, you're sure to be aggressively called out by both teams for purposely losing the game, at which point they'll reveal their true toxic selves. Now you can rest easy knowing you were right all along.
Why'd you brick all my game consoles?
No one saves the world by playing games.
The most important thing to note when someone trash talks you is to never lose your cool. After all, video games are meant to be something you enjoy, not something that enrages you. God damn it! Now, the easiest response is to simply win the game, but that would require actually learning how to play the game, which is something we just don't have time for. Instead, just do one of the following 2 options based on the next few rounds. If the other team continues to win, just tell them that they got lucky. Lying to others is okay in this case because you're also lying to yourself, so it balances out. But if your team starts to win, oh boy, nothing is off the table now, including teabagging, intentionally delaying the victory, and of course, threats to the other team's personal well-being. Now, the longer the game goes on, it might be harder to keep your cool. So if they continue to trash you and you feel like crying, that's okay. It just shows that you're invested in the outcome of the game. Plus, crying is healthy. Best not to tell the other team though. And if it gets to the point where you can't take it anymore, just quit the game in the middle of the match. After all, if you're not having fun, why should anyone else? But before you leave, be sure to report them.
Pop quiz hot chat.
Alright, let's see if you've been paying attention. Number 1. What do you do when you load into a game and discover there's a child on your team? Do you A. Immediately leave the game? B. Point out that there's a child on your team to everyone else and that means you're probably gonna lose? C. Mute the child so you don't have to hear their whiny, audibly irritating voice? Or D. None of the above? The correct answer is any of A, B, or C. And if you said D, I probably couldn't hear you because I have you muted. Number 2. What do you say when a player on the other team kills you? A. Tell them NS, which stands for nice shot. B. Tell them NT, which stands for nice try, or C, tell them NU, which stands for no, you. The only one that makes sense here is A, but in reality, you probably wouldn't mean it. And if you have nothing nice to say, which we both know you don't, best to say nothing at all. Number 3, what do you do when you make a mistake? Do you A. Apologize to your teammates and say, "This one's on me." B. Tell your teammate to keep it to yourself, or KYS for short. Or C. Play it off like it didn't happen in an attempt to convince your teammates that they didn't see something that they're certain they did in a clever strategy known as gaslighting. The correct answer is A, then B, then C, all in quick succession. Number 4. What do you do when a teammate makes a mistake? A. Tell them that they're a waste of a human and that their birth was the first mistake of their life that has since led to a series of worse and worse mistakes that continue to negatively impact their friends, family, and community. Correct. At the end of the day, trash talk is best if kept light. If you get too aggressive, or if someone you're playing with is being deliberately toxic, it can ruin the experience. And if you're not having fun with what you're doing, and you're just getting frustrated over and over, at a certain point, it's your own fault if you don't fix anything and the same thing keeps happening. Oh, motherfucker!